Centrally planned economies. In a centrally planned economy, also known as authoritarian socialism or communism as we know it, the government owns all the resources. Government owns the factors of production. Government owns the land, labor, and capital. Government decides what to produce, how much to produce, who will receive it. Government decides about the profits and the prices. Government determines what is produced, how much is produced. Examples of this is Cuba, North Korea, former Soviet Union, China. Why do centrally planned economies face problems of poor quality goods, shortages, and unhappy citizens? No profit means no incentive to work, no incentive to improve. They definitely had incentives in this case. The incentives were production incentives. And typically, what you had was workers that would get paid no matter what they produced until at the end, and they were given a production quota. Say they had to make 1,000 of these items in a month, and it was a lot higher than that. If what they would do is not work for basically 27 of the days, and then the last 3 days they would work, and then they would make their products to get their quota of 1,000. So as you can see, if you're working on the last couple days doing the last part, you're making poor quality goods, you're making them sloppy, you're not even caring if they're working, you just need to get your number in. Now, typically in this kind of system, everybody had a job, everybody was working. So you'd have somebody that would determine how many, left shoes you need, and then somebody else would decide how many right shoes you need. And in one year in the Soviet Union, there was actually more left shoes than right shoes because they didn't talk to each other. They didn't do that. And you've got PhDs, you've got people looking at what do people need. There's no price system. So they're making guesses of what people wanted, how much food, how much butter, how much milk, how these things. So typically you would find in this system the guesses were wrong. People were making educated guesses, but sometimes there were shortages and sometimes there were overages. And if there was a shortage, there was unhappy citizens and there's unhappy people. So you can understand with the quality of goods, people were incentive was to do it at the last minute and to do it no matter what the quality was. I don't think in the Soviet Union, Cuba, China, any of these places, you really know of a product, say, hey, that's a really good quality thing. I know there's Cuban cigars that were back in the 50s and 60s. We don't get those anymore, but there's not a car from North Korea, China, Soviet Union. There's not technology that you can say, oh, here's this. So in those planned economies, there was poor quality, there were shortages, there was overages, and it was based on the system and how they created the incentive was not to work or not to make a profit, but in production.